Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is AutumnEmbersyt and today I am building a base game family home as part of the Back to Basics collab hosted by the lovely AutumnEmbersyt. Apologies if I have mispronounced her name. But for this build, I actually built two homes. I only actually needed to build one home, but the very first build that I built for this collab, it was a lovely looking home. It was a lovely looking, grand, Victorian, stately looking home with a tiered garden, and it really suited the existing neighbourhood that surrounded the home. And which is great, really, which was lovely. It was nice to know that I did that. But the thing was, it looked like a base game home. And that's what I didn't really want to build. I wanted to build something that just looked like your typical, normal looking, lovely family home. And so with that in mind, I was like, okay, this is really lovely. And I have spent a lot of time building this because I got to the point where I did the landscaping, then the exterior, and I just really needed to do the interior and the layout. So I was like, okay, before I bulldoze it, let's just save it to my library. So hopefully one day in the future I will go back to it and use it, and so it's not a complete and utter waste of time. So that's what I did. I just saved it to my library, and hopefully one day in the future, perhaps for Christmas or something, I will go back to it and use it. So, like I said, I got to the point where I actually did the front garden. It was like a tiered garden. It was lovely. And as I was going through debug, the live edit debug section, I noticed there was a portion of debug that was showing me lovely rustic plant pot holders, sort of like a rustic looking fence and gate, and I just thought to myself, that will look so good, or would work very well with a modern suburban farmhouse. And I knew there were some decorative objects in the normal building by section that would also work really well with a modern suburban farmhouse. So with all of that in mind, I decided to delete the first house, build this one, which is a modern suburban farmhouse, which is called the Garden Farmhouse. And I am so happy that I deleted the first build because I'm so happy with the way this one looks. And also, as I was building this house, I was also building another house. And that house is in a style that's very grand and stately, like the first one. And I just hate, if I have two builds on the go, I just hate that those two builds are of a similar style or in the same style, because if I get bored or stuck on one build, I can just go into the other build which is in a different style and just move on. But I can't really do that if they are on the same style, because then I'm stuck full stop. So yeah, I'm really happy that I deleted that build. I'm really happy with the look of this build. I definitely have to say the debug items have really helped with the look, the overall look of this build. I don't think I would able to achieve that farmhouse rustic vibe that I was trying to go for if it wasn't for the debug stuff. So really happy that we could use that, really happy that I found that section of debug. For the interior of this house, however, it was very much like solving a maths problem. It was definitely a challenge for me to get that farmhouse style across, just because we don't really have a lot of farmhousey looking furniture. So for the interior, I decided to use some what's it called, pictures of the gallery, just to help me to achieve that farmhousey vibe. I did have to ask just to make sure it was okay to use, and they said, yeah, it's fine, just make sure, one, you credit the artist that you've used, and two, just to make sure it's base game compatible. So that's what I did, and yeah, using those pictures from the guide definitely helped with me solving how to decorate this in a farmhousey style, because I was really struggling. And the third reason why I'm actually quite happy, I think, is it third, second, third, I don't know. The other reason why I'm quite happy that I deleted the first build that I was going to do for this collab is because despite having lots of like grand, stately looking furniture, we don't really have a lot of exterior building stuff that are in the same style, which I find quite odd. And there is, as I was building this, I was noticing there are a couple of things that I felt like was missing from base game. And one of them was like dormer windows. So as you can see, we have dormer windows. And I knew, because I did that first build and then deleted it, I knew that we didn't have dormer windows for this one. I had to build the dormer windows. So yeah, I do feel like there are some bits and pieces missing from base game. At the moment, I can't remember what those items are, because I built this ages ago. I built this so long ago. I really can't remember what's in base game. I would say I feel like I'm pretty good at knowing where an item comes from, like which pack it comes from. I'm pretty good at that, but I don't really build base game homes, it was actually quite nice to be actually encouraged to build a base game home, because I wouldn't have done that of my own choice. I would have just kept on building homes using all the mini packs that I have purchased or have been given, but it was actually quite nice to build a base game home, because this is my third base game home that I've built ever in The Sims 4, and it was just really lovely just to build something in the base game, because you go, oh, hang on, I didn't know we had this, and you start to find items that you never knew you had, or they become your new favourite thing to use. And yeah, so it was really lovely to build in just base game. It was a good, fun challenge trying to figure it out for the inside, actually, because it was quite easy to do the exterior with all those rustic, farmhousey looking debug stuff, which is why I'm spending so long on the exterior. It's just because I just didn't know what to do for the interior, and I was having fun with the exterior. And it was coming along. It was looking like a really lovely looking suburban modern farmhouse, and I was just loving the way it was looking. It was like, oh yay, that's good, yeah, go me. We also have a pond. I do put in a fishing post, so if your sim goes fishing and they collect some fish, you can then pop those fishies that you've collected and pop them into the pond. I've noticed half-wall planter boxes there. I'm trying to make them look like that's where you would grow your like vegetables or your fruit. This is something that I did in a previous build of mine called the Rustic Farmhouse. So we are inside because I got to the point where it's like, I've done most of the exterior and the back garden, which is what I don't normally show you guys, the back garden. I mean, because I don't know what I'm doing, but with this one I did. It's great. But we are now inside, and just to make sure this video wasn't like incredibly long, and just to help me out with the interior, I decided to plan ahead with the interior. So I basically figured out how I wanted the interior to look, spent as many or as much time that I liked with the interior without me recording. And then once I was happy with the look of the build, I then deleted it and then filled it back in again. Just because, I was really struggling with the inside of this build. But I feel like I have achieved that modern suburban farmhouse look. I do think I went slightly fancy looking for the interior, but I just think that's just my natural style. I think my natural style is slightly fancy, a bit ooh la la, so I just can't help myself. So for these tiles, all the tiles that you see in this house are base game compatible, not CC, and they are tiles which you can get from the gallery because they are basically pictures, and they are by Catron 16. So these tiles here, they're very blue, and as I was just coming to the end of this build, I didn't like how blue they were, and I felt like they didn't really go with the house, the rest of the decoration of the house, and so I swapped them for some tiles from the same person, so Catron 16, the same one who does these tiles, and I just swapped them for another set of tiles that she does, which are less blue. I do switch them out. I just feel like they suit the place a little bit better. The kitchen does remind me of the rustic farmhouse kitchen, which is another build of mine, which is not base game. But I think with the rustic farmhouse, I think with that one, I also use the same tiles and perhaps the same. I can't remember. I've done so many builds, so many kitchens, but I think I use the same tiles. So for this build, we have 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms in this home. Oh, I don't know what to say then. Housey home. 2 of them are on the ground floor, so the floor that you enter in on, and then upstairs we have a further 3 bedrooms. Both of them that are on the ground floor has an ensuite. The toddler bedroom does share the ensuite to the art room, and the main bedroom, the parents' bedroom, or the caregivers, or whoever, they don't have an ensuite. The study does, though, and then we have like a main bathroom with all the tiles from Catron 16. All the other pictures that you see in this build that you don't recognise as the normal base game building by catalogue are from Fruit Loop 40. I just wanted to keep the amount of people that are artwork. Hang on. I just wanted to keep the amount of people from the gallery. No, that doesn't make sense. How do I word it? So I would normally use a lot of people's artwork from the gallery, and I just sort of like go mad on it. But for this one, just to keep it simple, I wanted to make sure that I only used 2 artists, or let's just call them artists. I just wanted to use 2 artists from the gallery just to keep things simple. So you know who did what. So that's why there are lots of Fruit Loop 40s paintings in this build, because I just want to keep things simple and easy to understand. Because because I'm showing this to the gallery and showing this as like a save file, because this build would be part of a save file, I just wanted to keep things simple. You know, I didn't want people to get confused, like as who did what. So I just wanted to keep it really simple. So this is the greenhouse. I know this is a base game build for a base game collab, so we don't really need these plant potters or these planters to be inside because we don't have a season. There's no season. so we don't really need them, but I just feel like a greenhouse makes sense for this build, and it also just uses and shows off some of the elements that we've been given with base game. So I used the glass roof, which was added in base game a couple of years back. It's a really nice feature, and yeah, I just wanted to use a lot of the features and things that we have been given in base game throughout the years, just to make this house look really lovely and as good as it can possibly look. So this is the parents' bedroom. Well, I am assuming this is the parents' bedroom because when I was decorating this, I thought this would be the parents' bedroom. And I really love the lighting in this parents' bedroom. And as I was taking the screenshots, I was trying to get the same lighting that I have now in this bedroom. I just couldn't remember what time of day it was. So I was a little annoyed that I couldn't get this lovely lighting that I have now for the screenshots, but I think it still looks great even without the lovely sunshine coming through. And yeah, I really love the upstairs. I spent a lot of time downstairs because I was really struggling, but with the upstairs I just felt like I had spent so much time on this build. I think I finally figured out how to decorate a base game suburban modern farmhouse and how to make it look good, in my opinion. And so I did the upstairs pretty quickly. I also noticed when I was editing the screenshots for this build, the upstairs is very pink. I think I used a lot of pink is because for some reason I feel like the pink tones that we have in the base game, some of them are slightly dusty, which is lovely to use in your builds, but the other colours that we have in base game, they don't have those dusty muted tones. They're very bold, they're very bright, they're kind of like primary secondary colours, and yeah, we don't really have many like dusty muted tones, but for some reason we have a dusty pinky tone, which is, like I said, really lovely to use in your builds. So I did use a lot of like dusty pinky tones in this build. At some point I know dusty pink was like really big, and I have no idea if when base game was created that was happening at the same time. I'm just trying to figure out why there is like a nice dusty pink in the game, that's why. So this is the teenage bedroom. I'm decorating this in the mind that a teenager has this bedroom. It is slightly on the smaller side, but we can still fit in a double bed with like a little trunk at the bottom of the bed. I know that trunk is what's it called, a coffee table, but I turned it around so it looks like a little like storage trunk. I just thought that'd be quite nice to have in your bedroom because I don't have a storage trunk in my bedroom, but I do have a box that I'm using as a side table, and it is handy to have a place where you can store like your towels or your bed linen. It's just nice to have storage in your bedroom. So that's what I did. Pop some dirty clothes on the floor just to really emphasize that this is not the main bedroom. This is perhaps a teenager's bedroom because, you know, teenagers have to throw their clothes on the floor. This is the children's bedroom. Again, I'm using what's it called? A bunk bed, because that is a feature that we have been given in the game throughout the years. We've had the Sims 4, so I just really wanted to use a bunk bed here. Also has that modern element into it, but has quite lovely. I really want to use the word nice. So I'm trying to use another word, but I just can't remember. I just don't know what word to use, so I keep using lovely. But also has a interesting is not the right word, so let's just go for lovely. It has a lovely duvet cover that has like the garden feature in there. There are actually a lot of naturey, flowery garden patterns in this build. If it's through like what's it called, material like the duvet cover there, or from pictures that I've placed on the wall. Again, all the pictures they don't recognise as being base game from the base game Sims 4 catalogue are by Fruit Loops 40, and I would have loved if base game had some like fairy lights, but alas we don't. In base game we don't, because this room was really screaming and shouting out to me, I need fairy lights. But the thing is, fairy lights is found in the Parenthood pack, and this is a base game cloud, so I can't use them. But I think base game needs some fairy lights. There are some items in base game that are missing. I think I said that before in the beginning of this video, but there are just a few elements here and there I just feel like base game needs, and fairy lights are one of them. Like wall lights would be nice, not like full on you need a pole to stick them on. I just want some wall fairy lights like the Parenthood ones. Yeah. So I think that bunk bed there, I think the original bed there was a Parenthood bed, but then it was turned into a base game bed, which is quite lovely. I don't say nice. That was quite lovely because yeah, we don't have very nice looking base game single beds, or just nice base game beds full stop. So it was actually quite nice to have a nice looking bed. So this is the toddler's bedroom. So the windows were the problem for this room, because they're the right height for the outside, and it doesn't look weird from the outside. It looks somewhat normal from the outside. You know, you don't question the height of the windows from the outside. You do when you go into this room. And as I was editing this video, I was like, it looks so odd. I mean, as I was decorating the bedroom, I was like, this is so odd. It doesn't look right. It really looks like a prison cell without those windows being lower. But like I said, it doesn't look odd from the outside. It makes sense. And it only clicked with me when I was editing the video. The reason why it looks so odd for this toddler bedroom is because those windows are high up, whereas toddlers are quite low down because they're tiny little people. So for that reason, I quickly just swapped this room for the study. So where the study is at the moment, that changes and gets moved to this room here. And then the toddler's bedroom gets moved to this room here. So they are in the exact same style. What you see, what furniture I place for those rooms is exactly the same. I just moved them, that's all. The furniture is the same, everything's the same, it's just the room has changed, and that's all. I thought it would suit the study a little bit better, just because one, the furniture is higher up, and so you won't have that weird height issue that I was having with the toddler's bedroom, because all the toddler's furniture will be low down because they are small people. And also I could fit in even more like bookcases, which would make sense for like a study library area. So it just made more sense. And also the toddler bedroom is now on the ground floor, which means they can now get their movement level up a little bit, because they won't have the stairs, and they can waddle over to the fridge themselves and get their movement level up a little bit. Yes, they could have done that from upstairs, but they spend so long getting downstairs. You get that pop-up saying your kids will be taken away. Like, hey, they're on the way down. They will get there, okay? Hopefully you won't get that pop-up anymore because they're on the ground floor. So this is the last room I think I'm showing you. So this is the art room. We have lots of artsy things in the game, so I thought let's just put an art easel in this room. Also, some of the pictures I have placed are by like famous artists. So perhaps these Sims are interested in art, not only painting it but also collecting it and putting it on their wall. I also popped down some aprons on the wall. That is a little detail that I quite like so much. I've even copied it in another build of mine just because it makes sense. You would put an apron on yourself to go and paint. I really wanted the city living rug because on that rug it has like paint splotches and splats all over it, and this makes sense. It doesn't make sense to have a really fancy, nice looking rug in your art room because you're probably more likely to get like paint on it, but there are no sort of dirty looking rugs in the game. That's another thing that I've noticed. A lot of these side tables in the game, especially these ones that I've used all over the place, all over this house, a lot of them are tatty. That they've seen some stuff, and it would just be nice to have non-tatty looking side tables, or I don't understand why they did that, because they're like really fancy looking ones, but they made them really tatty looking, so I don't understand that. This is the joint bathroom that the toddler and the art room uses. It has a bathtub. But this is where I'm leaving you, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, so thank you and goodbye.